Hey guys, Jesse Flood here again. It's a beautiful day, Sunday. It's a beautiful sunshiny day in beautiful Indiana, Gonna get right into it. I'm pretty excited. I'm gonna be shaving with Artisan Accoutrements, Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements Coconut Bay. Pretty excited about it. I think it's gonna be an awesome shave. Again, I've got my Smogue Owners Club. Like I said, it's the most expensive brush I own. I just got it, and Puck's been blooming over here. Also, I'm shaving with a Geo Woosty and Sons that I picked up actually from a. It's got the little hammer thing there too. You can see that. Picked up at some local antique place, so I got it all honed up and ready to give it a shave. So I had the puck blooming a little bit, and we'll get right into it here. Some of that water. Wet my face. So today's story is really a story that about quite a few people probably already know. But I love the story just so much because it actually brings in what I would consider the purest form of life, purest form of life in general. As well, it smells good. You can really smell the coconut in it. I think I'll probably use like a Clubman Bay rum for aftershave. Go back to the story. It's basically a the growing up or coming of age type of story that everybody goes through, and they call it the prodigal son. But you know what? I don't know if I like to even call it that, because I'll be honest with you, it's just basically coming to age story, and it's basically all of us. We've all done it, and all got into that, and in one form or another, we've done some crazy things, and so I'll get into that story. So basically the story is there was a guy that had two sons, and one day, one particular son, he decided he wanted to kind of do his own thing, and basically he just wanted to go out on his own, and he knew that he was going to get a part of his father's inheritance and part of his father's farm and all that. And so he just decided he wanted to take it early, and he said, "You know what, Pop, I'd rather just take off now and see what I can do. So if you're up for it, how about you just give me all my money now, and I'm gonna strive out on my own." Who hasn't thought that in their life? I mean, what teenage boy or girl or whatever hasn't thought, well, I know more than mom and dad, and I'm going to go and do my own thing. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? I think I said the same exact thing at one point. Even I thought to myself, you know what? The old man's crazy, and I think I know just as much as he does, and I could probably do just as good as he can. So, sure enough, more about the blade. Sure enough, he heads out, and he strives out on his own. And I'm going to slow down in my videos a little bit. Never really cut myself until I started telling stories, and I'm going to cut myself last time. But so this son heads off, in his, like we all do in our high and mighty fashion. And he goes out and does his thing, he's really heading out. He's really, striving on his own. And sure enough, just like a lot of us, it doesn't go real well for him. In fact, it goes pretty south. it goes pretty south on him. He basically loses all his money. And figures out he's going to have to try to figure out something, get a job or something, you know. Sounds kind of familiar, you know. I got to get a job, man. I think I just blew through all my money that I had. That whole reality check comes through pretty good. And sometimes it's pretty scary. So sure enough, you know, the reality really hits hard on him, and he has to come down to understanding that he's got to go find a job. So he ends up getting a job with another farmer and doing basically the same thing he was doing with his dad. And they're pretty good. So he starts basically farming with another guy in another area, making some money and doing his thing, and realizes that he is so hungry. He's barely making any money at all. He's just barely making anything, and his life is basically just horribly a shamble. And man, open that cut back up. And he realizes, you know, I'm sitting here so hungry, I'd basically eat what I'm feeding these hogs. I'm so daggone hungry. I'm barely making anything. I think it might be time for me to even go back to Dad and just say, listen, I screwed up, and I'd really like to just come back, and I don't even need the inheritance or your money or anything. I just really want to always even be one of your servants. If that's what it takes. I'll just be a servant. And so that's what he does. He heads on back and becomes one of his dad's servants. So that's what he thinks. And so he's headed back, and his dad sees him headed that way. You know, he sees him from a good ways off. And he starts rejoicing. You know, he gets really happy. He's like, man, my son's returned. This is awesome. And he tells his servants, he says, listen, my son has returned. He's come home finally. You know, his dad's been wanting him to come home. And he said, man, praise God, he's come home. And I really am happy about this. And in fact, I'm so happy. I want us to go out and have a feast. I want us to, you know, cut up the best, you know, meat that I've got. I want you to get that all ready because my son has returned and we're going to have a party. And so he heads out and he's running out the door to greet his son who's coming up the lane, you know. And one of my favorite parts of it is my dad always says he's the clumsiest man in the Bible because in the scriptures it says that he ran and fell upon his neck. And my dad's always like, well, how clumsy do you have to be to fall on your own neck? And but he meant that he embraced him, you know. He went and hugged him and said, you know, I'm glad you've returned. And of course the son's like, well, Dad, listen, you know, I didn't just return. I'm just going to be honest with you. You know, I made a big mistake, and I'll do anything. If you'll just let me come back home, I'll be one of your servants. I don't need to be I don't need anything. I don't want to have any extra money. I don't want any of that. I just want to be home. The dad said, no. Obviously, you've learned that life isn't what it's about. Obviously, you learned something out there. And so that's okay, because you know what? We've all made that mistake. We've all done that. And you just come on in and we've killed this fatted calf for you, and we're going to have a party. Brought out his best robe and gave it to his son. He said, listen, we're going to have a party, and you're the guest of honor because you wised up, and instead of being prideful and acting like you knew something and being crazy, you actually chose to come home. And knowing that you can come home, and knowing that I'll be here, and that at least somebody would be here for you. And, you know, that was how it went. And sure enough, the other brother wasn't real happy about that. Who'd have thought, right? The other brother's like, what the heck, Dad? I stayed here. I was with you the whole time. Man, I was here working every day. Never once did I bail out on you like he did. I didn't take the money and squander it. I didn't do any of those things. And yet, you're going to kill the fatted calf for him, and you're going to give him the best robe and put a ring on his finger, and you're going to do all these things for him, and he squandered your money away. And his dad was like, son, listen, you have everything I've got. You have anything you want right here. You've got everything you need right here. And he had nothing. The least we can do is show him that we still love him and that he's still part of us and he's still part of our family. And that's all. I'm not asking you to do any more than that. And so, I mean, basically, this whole thing of, you know, son leaving because he knows everything, and you got your parents letting him do it because, you know what, parents sometimes have to let things go, and we had to do that with our daughter. Just say, hey, you know, you got to go out and make your own mistakes, and they do, just like I did, and hardship falls just like it always does, and next thing you know, you're humbling yourself to figure something else out because you know something has to be done. And that's the truest life story as far as I'm concerned. And what really matters is at the end is if somebody's going to be there to forgive you and love you and tell you that everything's going to be okay. And that's what we as people need to do. I know that the last couple stories have been that way, and maybe one day I'll have a better story or a different story that won't end that way or end different. But my thing is obviously that's what I think my whole thing is with people is man, there's just so much junk and hate and everything going on. We just need to be caring about one another. So I love everybody, and thanks for letting me be part of a community. I guess I'm part of it. I really don't know if I am or not. But I appreciate people watching my videos. And, you know, there was a couple guys that said they liked what I was doing. Thank you very much. I can't remember names right off the top of my head, but maybe I'll get it on my next video. But thank you very much. Again, my Waston Home and Son, Geo Waston Home and Sons razor, Coconut Bay rum or Coconut Bay artisan accoutrements, Phoenix artisan accoutrements. Excellent slickness, great shave. Just, I mean, BBS here. So just enjoyed it very much. I slowed down. Got a little bit left in my beard. I got my
some Moog Owners Club, which I really love the brush. I like the boar brush. I love the fact that it's got a lot of backbone. So, sorry for the video being long. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Let me know how you like it, and if you want me to keep going. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.